Muruganar, in his very first encounter with Bhagavan, received his glance of grace and had an ecstatic spiritual experience. However, as sincere seekers, we must bear in mind that this ecstasy takes time to stabilize. When this verse was written, Bhagavan again looked at him. This established him in a state from which poured forth hundreds of verses spontaneously. Muruganar yearned to be in that ecstatic state all the time. He prayed silently that in addition to the time he was spending with his master, he would have a personal audience with him so he could be permanently established in divine bliss. However, he did not reveal his innermost longing to anyone, including Bhagavan, so he thought. In those days in the ashram, a group of devotees would go into the forest to pluck leaves from certain trees to make leaf plates. One morning, a group was planning to go to the forest. Bhagavan shot Muruganar a significant look. Muruganar understood its purport and hurriedly followed Bhagavan out of the hall. The group started to follow, but Bhagavan took him so quickly into the woody interiors of the forest that the others were left far behind. Bhagavan sat on a big log and signaled Muruganar to sit beside him. No words were exchanged between them. Bhagavan then looked at him piercingly and established him in a state of inner felicity, true joy. When Muruganar opened his eyes, dusk had fallen and he found himself alone. He had been in ecstasy for several hours. From then on, Muruganar remained in that state of inner bliss and quietude. He later said, "Having egotistically identified myself with the filthy body, I had slipped down into a desolate state. Now, having been awakened by him who is pure, divine, gracious wisdom, I have attained the supreme life of silent, natural consciousness, and I am ever flourishing as the perfect, pure self." The science of self-experience, which surged forth when the rising ego was destroyed, has filled my heart. Having blossomed me as bliss, by the light of the fully blossomed glance of his grace, Guru Ramana made me, this fool, flourish and live as the Buddha. From ancient times, sages and saints in all their devotion and wisdom have written thousands of poems extolling gods and goddesses in varied meters and styles in the Tamil language. Perhaps for the first time in Muruganar, we have one single poet who put down 40,000 verses in different meters in chaste Tamil, but on one single master, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. This spiritual wonder is unique to Muruganar. We also respect this poet saint because he elicited the direct teaching from Bhagavan. But for his efforts, we would not have Bhagavan's direct teaching in three remarkable treatises which can easily be considered as modern-day Upanishads on self-inquiry and self-realization. These three works are the Uladu Narpadu, its supplement, the Anubandham, the Upadisa Udyar, and lastly, a poem on the wisdom of the Atma Vidya Kirtanam. All three guide us on how to experience the reality of the limitless self. The genesis of these three treatises is very interesting. Before Muruganar came to Bhagavan in full in 1926, Bhagavan had written many stray verses, which has not been collected or preserved. With Muruganar's natural inclination for poetry, he researched Bhagavan's poems and found 21 stray verses. He collected them and found that they were not on a particular theme, and therefore sat with Bhagavan analyzing these verses. The theme that he chose was reality and the nature and experience of it. He was intent on this, because by living with Bhagavan and leading a life of pure spirituality, he understood the importance of living the truth. He wanted Bhagavan to write about reality and practical ways to actually be one with it. Some verses did not go with the theme, so he omitted them and requested Bhagavan to replace them with fresh verses based on his own experience. This went on for 20 days. In Tamil literature, one form of poetry restricts a single theme to 40 verses. Muruganar proposed to Bhagavan to adhere to this norm. Bhagavan himself titled the collection Uladu Narpadu, which translates to reality in 40 verses. While editing this work, Muruganar wanted to preserve some verses that had been omitted and requested Bhagavan to write more, and made an anthology of another 40 verses called the Uladu Narpadu Anubandham, which just means the supplement to reality in 40 verses. On another occasion, Muruganar was in the middle of a spontaneous flow of writing poems. It was on the play of gods and goddesses, where each of them was presented as Ramana. On completing 70 verses, he found that he was stuck where Lord Shiva gives spiritual instruction to sages performing penance in the forest. Since he adored Bhagavan as Shiva himself, he pleaded with Bhagavan, saying, "You are Shiva himself. Here I am, stuck and unable to go on. Please give me the next 30 verses as Lord Shiva's teaching to the accomplished sages." In response, Bhagavan wrote the Upadisa Undiyar, the 30 verses on spiritual instructions, a step-by-step guide on how to be the truth. Someone once complimented Muruganar on the Ramana Sannidhi Mure, saying, "This is the best work you have done, Muruganar." Muruganar, with tears in his eyes, replied, "In India, the Mahabharata is considered as one of the greatest epics because it contains Lord Krishna's direct teaching in the form of the Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, if you people consider the Ramana Sannidhi Mure as my best work, it is because Upadisa Udiyar by Bhagavan is embedded in it."